The Death and Life of Great American Cities by Jane Jacobs, as applied to a neighborhood in Arlington, Texas, by Stacy Marquez. My neighborhood is very different from the city of New York. We do not have tall buildings, crowded streets, or subways. I live in a typical suburban neighborhood in the city of Arlington, Texas, home to the Dallas Cowboys, Six Flags, and the Texas Rangers. Arlington is also the largest city in the United States without public transportation. Jane Jacobs begins her book with an entire section devoted to the importance of sidewalks. However, what if a neighborhood does not have sidewalks? As you can see, my neighborhood is one such place. The curb is the boundary between what Jacobs considers the demarcation between public and private in my neighborhood. When walking or biking in my neighborhood, it must be done on the street. At the end of my street, the road curves and is dangerous when cars are barreling down the curve and other people are walking. Also, Jacob points out that it is important to have residents sit out on their porches in order to keep an eye on the street. Unfortunately, in my neighborhood, we do not have stoops or porches that we can do this from. Jacob states that people do not share much in the suburbs and lack togetherness, which is definitely the case in my neighborhood. Very rarely do you see neighbors talking to each other outside, and they mostly keep to themselves. Since we have no sidewalks, children must play in the street. Since this is dangerous, most of the children either stay inside or walk to the park. Not having sidewalks for children to ride their bikes on or play with their toys further erodes the social sustainability of neighborhoods by keeping both the parents and children indoors, away from their neighbors and the going-ons in the neighborhood. Although my neighborhood lacks sidewalks, it does have a great neighborhood park. My park is used by many different people and boasts a swimming center, tennis courts, 1-mile walk-bike path, basketball courts, playground, and even sand volleyball. The park is usually crowded on the weekends with families grilling, and the water park is usually full. At times there are even concerts happening there. It is hard for me to pinpoint exactly where the park center is, but if I were to take Jacobs literally, I guess it would be the parking lot since it is located near the center of the park. The park does offer a lot of shaded areas under trees and a roofed area where people can eat. Although this park is not located in the heart of a city and enclosed by buildings, it is surrounded by neighborhoods and farmlands. It is hard to compare Jacobs' concepts to suburbia, but I do like her concept of having short blocks. In my neighborhood, the streets are very long and seem to segregate one street from another, even though they are located in the same neighborhood. Although the houses in my neighborhood were built during the same time frame, I can say that each house does look different from each other. I guess Jacobs could consider my park to be a vacuum, but with the addition of the water park and various sports to do, as well as being surrounded by many neighborhoods, it has not become a vacuum and is well used and taken care of. With the lack of sidewalks and wide streets, my neighborhood seems to be geared more towards cars. If sidewalks were installed, this would shrink the streets and increase traffic. I think that if people would park their cars in the garage or driveways instead of taking up street space, it would help to alleviate congestion on the streets. I think that my neighborhood helps to retain visual order by having cul-de-sacs in the middle of the long stretch of road. This appears to break up the monotony and gives the perception of being more friendly. Although my neighborhood is not located in the city, it does share some of Jacobs' concepts. However, it does not appear to be a sustainable neighborhood as defined in her book. I think that suburban development should be viewed differently from cities, with other factors to consider. Jacobs' book touches on some good points, but it was hard to conceptualize them in suburbia.